Hello, hello. We're gonna give everybody a few minutes to join us. How are you today?
I'm okay. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Have you enjoyed your day off?
It's been okay.
It's been okay. Yes, yes. I don't see anybody in with us yet. So we will wait a few minutes. Do you see us?
I'm having to reactivate my Facebook. I'm not on there.
Oh, okay. I don't know why mine isn't.
I don't see anything.
Okay. Let's see. Obviously. Well, it says live around my face. There we are.
Maybe it's because I'm not on the app.
I see one person. Is it me? Well, we will go ahead and what are you still looking for us?
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm about to deactivate it again.
No, don't deactivate it. Adria, we'll deactivate Facebook.
I'm not seeing that it says you're live. Like, it's not. Maybe it's because I'm not using the app. Because I don't have the Facebook app.
It's showing up on my computer. I see somebody on there. I see Julia. Hey, Julia.
This is weird.
How are you? Thanks for joining. There's somebody else. Somebody just dropped back and out. Somebody else was here.
Okay, well, there's no point in me doing that.
Julia says, hello, ladies. Thanks for joining us, Julia. We appreciate you. And we are going to just go ahead and do you. Julia says, hello, ladies. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us, Julia. We appreciate you. The computer is significantly behind. I see Jasmine, our girl Jasmine. How you doing, Jasmine? We hope you are having a great day. I see Jasmine Taz. I see her. I see her. I see Jasmine Taz. Trying to adjust a little bit to this computer being so far behind. Yeah, I saw Jasmine hit that hard. She said, "Hey, ladies, can you see her? Can you see that text? Is that too far from you?" Okay. But tonight we are going to get officially started, shall we? All right. So, I'm Joyce.
And I'm Adrielle.
And we are Divinely Guided. And as you all know, we usually record Divinely Guided and then share it with you. But tonight we are letting you into our world.
Because it is the 50th one.
Right. This is our 50th episode. Can you believe it?
That's crazy.
Yes. Our 50th episode of Divinely Guided. And so we are doing a special celebration by actually doing it live. And we want you all to respond and give comments and let's just share information. And we started doing Divinely Guided, talking about self-care items, things that you could do as part of self-care. And since then, we have expanded and talked about some more things. But in honor of this 50th celebration where we are going live, we are going back to our roots. And we're talking about self-care. Why does it even matter? Why do we need to do it? We've given you many different things that you could do for self-care over the past 49 episodes. But why would you do it? So, Adrielle, let's make it very personal. Why do you think self-care is important? Why is it important for Adrielle?
If I do not do self-care, I will lose my mind. And I will be very difficult to be around.
That is a very simple way to put it.
That is my answer to that question.
Yes. And I have found with self-care that when I don't engage in self-care, I get very tired. I start looking at the world in a way that I don't want to look at it. I start looking at everything and everybody as if they are draining me. But it's really not up to other people to fill me up. Self-care is about me filling me up first before I go and try to share and give to other people, give of myself to other people. So self-care, like you say, it keeps you sane, but for me, it also keeps me in the state of mind that I want to be in. It helps me to feel good. It helps me to recharge. It helps me to rejuvenate. So that's kind of our personal stories on self-care. And I've said it before on some of our previous recordings, some of our previous episodes, that there was a time when the kids were small, when I was working 3 jobs, when I was totally pouring out but never filling me up. And so just imagine, like so many other people in this world, we start pouring into everybody else, and before you realize, you are totally empty because you have poured all of you into someone else. And that's how I was. And at that time, I was angry. I was resentful of having to pour into other people instead of wanting to pour into everybody else. And so self-care became a way of me getting back to myself and giving back to myself. But like I say, you think about that empty cup. You know, you're pouring. Say there's only so much water you can pour out of that bottle before it's empty. And so we have to give back to ourselves. And I've seen many times the saying, I'm pouring from my saucer because my cup is overflowed. And really, that's kind of the approach I think we should take to it. We should really fill ourselves up and keep filling until we overflow. And then we can give to people from our overflow, and we never become empty. We can share from our overflow, and we just continue to fill ourselves up, and then we can give from our overflow. So what do you think about that, Adrian?
I agree. What, like, I'm not a mom, so, like, what, I know that's, like, a unique situation. What is that like when, because you're pouring into everyone else all the time? So, like, what is that dynamic like?
What the dynamic of being a mom and giving?
Yes. Like, when do you realize it's time to do something for yourself and then not feel bad about it?
I don't know. I think that you reach that state. I think it's different for everybody because everybody is different. For some people, I feel like, and I may be wrong, and it would be interesting if there are any moms out there who feel that way. But for some moms, there are some women who that's what they wanted their whole lives, to be a mom. And I think for some of those moms, and maybe even for some of them, they get to a point where they're burn out and feel like they've given more than they can give. But there are some people who are rejuvenated, I think, by being a mom, by giving, by doing. But for me, specifically, I got to a place where I was just completely burnt out. And I don't know whether it is with other women, but I know that for me, because I had you all kind of close together. You're less than 2 years apart.
Yeah.
You're about a year and a half apart. And so it was almost like having, it was 2 babies at the same time, because neither of you were at a stage, both of you were at the stage where you had to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Completely. And so for me, it made it more difficult. And I know a lot of moms do that. They have kids a year or 2 years apart, and they have more than 2. I mean, my mom had 7 kids over an 18-year period, so she constantly had a house full of kids. And I could tell there were definitely times when she was burnt out. I don't know when you get to that place, but being a mom is a full-time job. Jasmine says, "Preach, Mama."
You're not gonna
no day is the same, but I have very good days and very low days. Yeah, I know what you mean. Let me see if I can pull her up on the.
Yeah.
Okay. I just have to remind myself to take it day by day. Yes. That is so true too, Jasmine. Some days are better than others, just like it is with any other person. Some days are definitely better than others. Julia says, "I'm a giver, but I need to focus more on self-care." Yeah, Julia, you are definitely a giver. And you and I have had the conversation many, many times that you have to do a better job of putting yourself first. I think that is part of what makes it difficult as a mom. It almost goes against your nature to put your needs ahead of your children.
Yeah.
For me, it felt unnatural. And when you all were small, I felt like I had an obligation to put you all first. But I do think you have to get to a place where you can find a little bit of middle ground.
Yeah.
Putting the kids first, but not forgetting yourself in there. Because it's easy as a mom to lose yourself in being a mom, in being a wife, and you forget. I felt like there was a time when I totally lost Joyce in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And I had to go back and focus a little bit on self-care so I could go back and retrieve Joyce.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people don't talk about that.
I agree. When it comes to being a mom, I think we see what we think being a mom is from the outside.
Yeah.
And I don't know that people really honestly talk about how difficult it can be, how draining it can be.
Yeah. I don't know, the identity thing will be a big thing for me, like not being defined by that one thing that you are.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
It's interesting.
Because you become somebody's mom.
Yeah.
And that becomes your full identity. People acknowledge you as somebody's mom. The school calls you Adrielle's mom or Jared's mom, and you are that the whole time y'all are in school.
Yeah.
I was Miss Thomas Vincent, but more than that, I was Adrielle and Jared's mom, and so you get lost in that. And of course, I wouldn't have had it any other way. I'm not the type of person who I wouldn't have been satisfied not putting you all first, but I just had to learn to put myself in that equation. Jasmine says, I struggle a lot with self-care because my kiddos are so little. Yeah, and when you have to do everything for them, self-care really falls to the wayside. And you have to be, at least for me, Jasmine, I found I had to be very deliberate in putting some time into myself. And so I think one of the first things I started to do with self-care was to just go to lunch by myself in the middle of the day. Just had no choice then but to talk to Joyce. But it started to help me come back to myself. But I was in the middle of Jasmine's comments. She said her kiddos are so little. They need a lot of attention and help growing, and it can be quite defeating. It can leave you feeling defeated because regardless of how well you do it, and I will say for the record, Jasmine, I think you are an excellent mom, but regardless of how well you are doing, you feel like you always feel like there's something else I could have, would have, should have done, or I should have done something this way or that way. And those things, although natural to feel that way, they can be very draining because then it takes away that time where you can say, I did this and this was well enough. I did my best and that's good enough. My kids aren't perfect, but they're well loved and they're taken care of, and that's good enough. And so as a mom, you have to allow yourself to get to that place. So Jasmine, it does get a little better in giving you time for self-care when they get a little older and they can do some of the very basic things for themselves. But when you're doing everything, including brushing their teeth and putting on their clothes and making sure they wash their face, it can be absolutely draining. Yes, it can be. And every time I watch Tiffany's kids when she goes on a business trip or something, I am reminded of just how draining it can be because it is a nonstop, like you're running nonstop. But that was a great question that you brought up some good discussion. I see Julia is also responding to Jasmine and says, yes, Jazz, you are an awesome mom. And she is indeed an awesome mom and a great friend and an overall good person. Just good people. One of the best friends you ever had that I took. So, well, I didn't take her. I just adopted her as my other daughter.
Yeah.
And I love her dearly. Jerry Lynn Jackson, how are you doing, my friend?
These allergies are terrible.
I am so glad to see you with us today. So, Jerry, how are you when it comes to self-care? I know you are a person who takes care of everybody and you pour into other people constantly. So how do you manage self-care? How are you taking care of Jerry? I know I fuss at you about that sometimes. I know your sister fusses at you about that. So how are you with self-care? Let's hear from you.
There's wrestling happening.
There is wrestling happening while we're doing our live.
That looks really painful.
Adrielle, we are live.
We wouldn't have cut it out anyway.
No, we wouldn't have cut it out. But I don't want you to get wrapped up in wrestling.
I'm not wrapped up in it. I'm just I'm multitasking.
Okay, she's multitasking.
Because I don't like to even cut stuff out. It's just, I feel like we don't do things that require cutting out anyway.
We're
just more editing.
Oh, okay. We just get in there and just have an honest conversation, which is what it's about anyway. Well, thank you, Jerry. He said we look radiant in our red, and we didn't even do it by design. Our personalities are just very similar.
We got
we got black and white bottoms
black
too.
and white pants.
We do have on black and white pants. I can't put my leg up like that though. I will need some emergency intervention.
Don't do that.
But I do want to say, let's look at some of why Jerry says I have done a terrible job of caring for myself. Well, Jerry, you do give and you pour out of your cup until I can very well imagine that sometimes your cup is absolutely on E. As a matter of fact, I know it is, because sometimes I have gotten on to you when I see your cup on E, and I can tell something is not right with you, and then I will get on to you. But you will also go right on back taking care of everybody else again. I'm currently in a bad state now. Uh-oh, it went away too quick. I didn't get a chance to read it. Let me see. I have to really do a better job of caring for me. Yes, Jerry, you do have to do a better job of caring for you. And you have to, I know you take care of everybody. It is your gift. It is your gift. But you cannot even help people if you don't help Jerry first. If you don't take care of Jerry first. And I mean, I love how much you care. And you've been in my life taking care of me since I was too little. I don't even remember when you weren't there. But I do want you to take care of Jerry. I want you to, my wish would be for everyone on here to identify an activity. Even if you start with just one. Identify an activity that rejuvenates you, that refreshes you, that takes you away from everybody else, where you just focus in on yourself. I want everybody to identify at least one thing. And I want you to do that one thing at least 3 times a week. Just start deliberately doing it. When I started to, so how do you avoid pouring until you're completely empty? And that's a good question. And what I'm talking about now will help with that. Is identifying that one thing, whether it is a few minutes of meditation before you start your day or at the end of the day. We talked about that in one of our early Divinely Guided podcasts. Talked about those guided meditations where you deliberately slow down, focus in on your breathing, focus in on shutting the world out and just feeling your breath, just feeling your body being the magical instrument that it is, tuning everything out and preparing your mind for the day by, focusing in on what you want your day to be, or at the end of the day, coming back and focusing in on what was really good, and let me just sit here and meditate on that thing that was really good. Let me just feel it. Let me just relive it in my mind. Let me reinforce it in my spirit. So you could do that meditation daily. You could do a few minutes of yoga every day, or 3 days a week. Just making sure, again, in that yoga, you're doing very deliberate movements. You're not doing anything that's straining or pulling you too much, but things that stretch your muscle and your mind a little bit. And while you're doing that, again, you're focusing in on your breathing and on your posture. And you'd be surprised at how well those things start to make you feel. One of the things that I truly believe was instrumental in me starting to really feel good and feel better and reclaiming joy was to focus on gratitude. Because I had got to a place where I was so burned up, and so I was resenting everything and everybody. and that's a bad place to be mentally. And so I started just to focus in, and I brought that beautiful gratitude journal, and I started to write in it absolutely every day like it was a pill I was taking. I would not miss out on it. And I started writing, and then my focus started shifting from what I was resenting and what was making me tired and what was making me angry, and I started shifting my focus to all of the things that were good and beautiful and wonderful in my life, and then my whole attitude and the way I carried myself started to change.
Okay, you missed some comments.
I missed some comments? I thought I got into those. Okay. Jasmine said she didn't believe Jerry when he said he's done a terrible job of caring for himself, because she says you're dressed to the nines on a daily basis. And that he is and has been for a mighty long time. Julia says, Adrielle, I introduced you to wrestling, but I haven't watched in a while. Well, don't worry. Adrielle watches it for you too religiously. She reminds me of your mom. You remember how much Mama used to love wrestling. Let me see. Just go down. Uh-oh. Wow.
No, that was it.
That was it? Okay.
And then you're right there.
Julia had. Okay. And then we're back to Jerry. I love the idea of an activity that rejuvenates itself. I have that. I can do it, but I allow others to interfere. That's the thing, Jerry. You have to protect your space. Refuse to allow people to get in there and interrupt your Jerry time. I have to learn how to allow others to figure things out rather than always trying to help them figure it out. Yeah, and that's kind of hard when you're a particular personality style, but it is very liberating when we allow people to figure things out and only intervene when they ask for our help. And sometimes even then you have to turn it back over to them. Jerry says, I am seeing now that I'm exhausted from pouring into others. Yeah, it is draining. And you deserve to pour into you. And as I said earlier, you have to learn to fill yourself up. So instead of pouring from your cup, you can give to people from your overflow. But you got to fill you up first so that the overflow starts to happen. Jerry says, hi, Jenya.
Hi.
You're such a cutie pie.
Thank you.
I love it when he calls you Jenya, because that's what your granny used to call you, Jenya.
Yeah.
She was picking at me for calling you Adrielle, and she's like, I'm just going to call her Ginger Ale. And then she just shortened it to Jenya. So you became Jenya. But yeah, self-care, it is very important. It really is. What Julia says, Mr. Jackson, I think that is my issue. I allow things to interfere with my me time. And then on there, I do other activities.
Have that issue.
What issue is that?
But I think it's a flaw in another direction with me. I don't think I have the issue of Jasmine's comment. Sorry, JG's comment made me laugh.
Okay. Rhea is going through it tonight. Who is Rhea? Oh, she's watching wrestling too? Jasmine. No. But you were saying.
What was I saying? Oh, I feel like it's in the other direction with me, where like I have a job where I help other people for a living, but I have absolutely no problem telling people no. I have absolutely no problem deleting my social media so I can't be reached. I have no problem putting my phone on Do Not Disturb. It's not coming from a personal place. I just lose my mind. And I'm really hard to be around when I've done too much. Like, really hard to be around. So, there's no time.
Julian says, Pooh still calls you Jin Jin. Yeah, she used to come in there with Miss Thomas, too. So, yeah. Yeah, I had to learn. But I think right now I'm much better at stepping back and and taking care of me. But I've learned to do that over time because, as I said, I had gotten tired and old and bitter and twisted. I didn't like the person I saw when I looked in the mirror. I didn't like the way she looked physically.
Tired and old.
I didn't like, I had become all of that because being burnt out and worn out will make you, it will age you. It will age you. And yes, I was feeling tired and old.
Okay.
And ugly. Physically and mentally. So I had to work on me. Jasmine said, I think it's part my personality too, but I feel like we can read each other well, Adri. Years of practice to keep each other sane.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We do keep each other sane.
And that's a good thing too. Someone was asking about what can you do. Having someone to help keep you sane is good. You having that someone who will help you when you're at your wit's end, but also that someone who will say to you, look, chick, you're doing too much. You need to calm down. You need to pull back.
Yeah.
Because you need that. Sometimes you need help protecting yourself from yourself.
I'm way too hard on myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like at all times. To the point where I don't even register that I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I have friends who point out, like, you're being really hard on yourself.
Right. And you need that.
Yeah.
You need that. Jasmine said, tired and old, where? But that was then, Jasmine. I feel like I'm aging in reverse right now. Because I've gotten much better at taking care of myself. Yeah. And so, no, I don't feel tired as much. I don't feel as old. As a matter of fact, I feel like I look a little younger now than I did when the kids were younger because I have started to pour back into Joyce. Jerry says, and when she was alive, Maggie was my therapy. Yeah, Maggie was a lot of people's therapy. She could look into the heart of what was going on with the person, and you didn't have to tell her much. She could look at you and tell what was going on. Maggie was my therapy. Spending time with her was everything. Also, my mother was a time I called my me time. Okay, being with his mom was his me time. Yes, that was very important for you, Jerry. That much was very obvious. I think I'm trying tonsillitis in for those time spent with them. And I think I'm not sure if I misread that. Spending time with those girls gave me life. Yes. They absolutely did give you life, Jerry. But you have a new baby in your life now that I think can and will help give you life. I know her mom does. The mom of the new baby that's in your life. Adria said, you need that person to keep you sane. Joyce and Jerry are two of those people for me. Oh, absolutely. You do need that person to keep you sane. You do need the people to say, all right, enough already. Or you done well, or you're being too hard on yourself, or you need to sit down and take a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do need those people in our lives.
Yeah. I don't even know when it's time to take a break.
I used to not know when it was time to take a break. I used to literally go 24 hours nonstop because I did not know how to stop. I couldn't leave well enough alone.
For me, I don't take a whole lot of days off. I've taken some days off recently, and my coworker had to force me to take time off for my birthday. She was like, "Don't come in here during that time. Like, you can take those days off." Because until last year, I'd never even done that at all. Like, I'm always at work, and it's kind of something where they point it out. They're like, "You never miss work." I'm like, "Not really. I don't really know how to do that."
Yes, I used to have, again, that was an issue for me when you all were small. I only took days off when it was something related to what you all needed.
Yeah.
When there was something going on at your school, or if one of you were sick or something, I would take those days. And when I started taking what I would call them mental health days, I was like, okay, this is for my mental health. Then it felt awkward and odd to me. I felt like I was doing something wrong, but slowly I learned that I needed those days, and then I was able to do it, and then I started to use them on a regular basis. I'm like, I'm not stacking up a bunch of leave days. I'm using my time. And I at one point, even during the summer, I only worked 4 days a week. I had leave, and so every week I would be off. I would have a long weekend. I didn't work Mondays at all.
I'm not to the point where I can take time off without guilt.
Well,
this point.
Yeah, you have to get to that place. Let me see. Okay, Jerry said what he was saying up there that I misread was trying to fill in. I think I'm trying to fill in for the time spent with them. Okay, I got you, Jerry. And that was referring back to his mom and my mom, who was his great friend as well. Julia says, yes, Maggie could see things. She knew the neighbor's daughter was pregnant long before the mother did. Yeah, Mama could see things. She really, and she would look at you like she was looking through you, and she literally was. Jasmine says, I'm so thankful to be a stay-at-home mother, but it does feel just like that. There are no off days, no vacation time, and no breaks. Yeah. Having kids, especially as small as your kids are, it is really a full-time, practically 24/7 job, because even when they're sleeping, you are either trying to get something done that you didn't get to finish when they were up and around, or you are still listening for them while they're sleeping to make sure they're okay. And I was always amazed because I could, if you rolled over, my mom heard you in the middle of the night, didn't matter. Yeah, and then I got tickled because I turned into that person where I literally hear you all and feel. But I've gotten better because now.
It used to be terrible. I would go downstairs for some water. You'd be like, did you get up at about 3:30 this morning? And you're like, yeah, I did. Why do you know that?
I've gotten better, though, because, now I don't get up every morning when you're going to work.
Yes.
I used to get up every morning when you were going to work, and just like you couldn't get yourself dressed. But I'm learning to just stay there. Although sometimes I will be awake and know that you're up. But sometimes I just stay in the bed. I'm like, I'm not going to get up, and she's going to look at me like, what are you doing up? But sometimes I will get up and come and get coffee. But anyway, yes. So it is self-care is very important. Some of the things, because we always give our personal perspective, but then we also share some information. And so some of the reasons that the beautiful thing about self-care is self-discovery. This is from Jerry. Self-discovery is really an eye-opener and definitely helps with personal discovery. I am really trying to get to a space that I can care for myself. That is so true. Self-care does lead to self-discovery. It really does. If you take time out meditating or doing your yoga or even spending time by yourself doing activities that you enjoy, you do start to discover more about yourself. You discover more of who you are. You discover more of what you want in your life and what you don't want. You even discover some of your skills and interests that have been lying dormant within you for a long time. Jasmine agrees with you, Jerry. She says this, what you just said, that's the thing. Yes. But I was looking at some of the reasons why self-care is important, and some of the things that the evidence talks about is it improves mental health, and of course that makes sense. It enhances your physical health and your physical well-being. It boosts your self-esteem, and that is true. Because I had, when I was not taking care of myself, my self-esteem had taken a nosedive. Like I said, I was feeling old and tired and ugly and useless and incompetent because I hadn't stopped to take care of myself. So it boosts your self-esteem. It increases your resilience, your ability to bounce back and keep going. It promotes your overall well-being, whether it's mental, physical. It reduces burnout. Absolutely reduces burnout. And it improves your relationships, because when you're taking care of yourself, you are in a better place for relationships with other people.
Yep. That's a big one for me.
Is that a big one for you?
Yeah.
How so?
Because I just feel like a porcupine. without self-care.
Yeah, you're like your mom in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. I feel very prickly when I'm not getting enough self-care, and just ready to bite out like a wounded animal.
Yeah.
To lash out rather.
And I feel like it's my duty as a person to help make the world a better place, and I cannot do that when I'm acting like that. So it's me trying to make a part of the world better when I work on myself.
Right. And it has that ripple effect. You talked about that with some other, on some of our other podcasts about that ripple effect. But self-care definitely has that ripple effect, because when you take care of you, you're in a better state of mind. You can think clearly. You feel better. You're in a more positive overall mood. And then that reflects on every interaction you have with everyone you come in contact with throughout a day.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you go out in a bad mood, worn out and tired, that is going to be reflected in every interaction you have.
Yeah. And then whenever I'm working out is self-care for me. Like lifting weights and stuff is self-care for me.
Right.
That helps build my confidence, which helps put me in a better mood. So it's all interconnected.
Right. It is all interconnected. And we did talk about physical activity as one of the things that is very useful when it comes to self-care. Jasmine said, it's everyone's duty to make the world better, Adri. Don't be hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is everybody's duty to make the world a better place. And we seem to have a segment of the population who doesn't realize that right now. But we're going to pray for them, and hopefully God will speak to some hearts. But anyway, so self-care is critically important for so many reasons. It is good for your mental well-being and your physical well-being. A lot of what we've talked about has been kind of more of a mental, but when you start thinking physical, when you're not taking care of yourself, you can have all manner of physical repercussions. That is interesting, Adriel. I can't save the world if I don't save myself first. And that's coming from Julia, responding to what you said. And Julia, that is one thing you would be well to remember. Because you are a person who is truly focused in on saving the world, one person at a time, and sometimes 1,000 people at a time. Because you were so occupied with trying to get everybody's food stamps going again yesterday. But anyway, you wouldn't be. Yes, the food stamps went down yesterday for about 4 hours.
Oh my!
Nobody could process their food stamps.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yesterday?
Wasn't it yesterday? Yes. While we were in the middle of church, Julia was it started before church. But when we were in church, she was still back and forth on that phone trying to. Okay. Yes. You didn't know?
No.
Yes. But as I was saying, there are so many physical things that start to happen when we're not doing our self-care. You can have some really negative health consequences. It can impact a lot of things. It can impact your heart.
I've talked about that. I don't know if you remember, but it was way back in the beginning. Like being so stressed out and irritated that I'd be sitting still and check my watch, my heart rate would be at 114.
Right, just racing.
Yeah. I need to calm down.
Yes.
That's not good.
It isn't good.
But it was like that just constantly. This went on for like a month or so.
Wow. No, that's definitely not good.
Yeah, no.
That's definitely not good. That's one thing I love about this watch is it helps me to keep track of my heart rate and when my resting heart rate is too high. Jerry says, my problem is trying to save the world. I really have to learn to mind my own business and learn how to say no. Yeah, Jerry, at least find a middle ground in there somewhere. Because I don't think you could ever walk completely away from that personality, and we wouldn't even want you to. But you do want to find a middle ground where you do say sometimes, I'm going to do this, I'm going to take care of myself, I'm going to put me first, I'm going to have to say no today. Yeah. So, and you know what? People no, life keeps on rolling, the earth keeps spinning when you tell somebody no. World doesn't stop. So, yeah. Do learn to say no sometimes for your own benefit. And of course, I say that knowing full well, I get so excited when I have something going on and I don't even have to ask you for assistance. You jump right in there and start helping. So I'm telling you to say no, but then knowing for a fact that I'm one of the people who always look forward to your yes. So, yeah. But you can tell me no sometimes too, Jerry. I will not take it personally. But anyway, yeah. So you were saying your heart rate was racing when you were stressed out.
That was all the time. That was a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what do you think you did that helped you to get rid of that being that stress that your heart was racing constantly?
Honestly, medication.
So you think your anxiety medication helps you with that?
It helped me to calm down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on it right now, but it helped me to calm down and be less in my head about things. It's like when it's cold outside and I put on like a jacket.
Uh-huh.
It's like the jacket. It doesn't make it not cold, but it gives me something like a barrier, I guess.
Okay. Well, for me, what I notice because when I'm stressed out and burnt out, worn out, I too can notice my heart rate starting to get high. But with me, the physical activity helps a lot. That walking, that
walking, I can't explain it.
That for some reason when I'm walking around in the house at night, because I'm not gonna go down the street, it gives Adriel anxiety.
It gives me the creeps. I can't even explain it. I don't know what it is.
I don't either.
And I do this with other people sometimes. It triggers like a primal fear because you're just like coming out of the darkness of this room and you come back and forth and like it makes my nerves bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
weird.
I do try to remember that it makes your nerves bad, and so I do it when you're not around me. But I like to do my physical activity because it literally brings my heart rate down, and I can tell like it's noticeably better. And then I love my meditation, and I love my my gratitude and journaling. Those things help me to calm down too. But I like to just sit and soak in and think about what was really good. I love that. Julia said to Jerry, well, I'm going to take it personally. Julia, you won't take it personally if Jerry say no to you. Jerry says, I will not say no to my girls. I love y'all. We love you too, Jerry. We love you real big. That's why we want you to take care of yourself, because we want you to always be around. Julia says, I know for sure that my antidepressants keep me calm.
They work. Okay,
so your medicine helps to keep you even keeled too. And I think there are a number of different people who take various medications to help them deal with anxiety and help them to calm down a little bit. And I always say to people, if you need some medication to help you calm down, get the medication. If you need to go talk with a counselor to help you feel better and get your thoughts and feelings what's the word I want to use? Regulated. Go talk to somebody. There is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't give it a second thought. Why do you say, ooh boy?
Yeah.
That is a critical part of self-care. And even getting to the point that you realize you need to talk to somebody is an important step in self-care. So, yeah. Jasmine says, I have a bad habit of distraction over reflection. Yeah. And you have to get to a point where you can kind of keep it in the road when you're trying to, because distraction is a thief for all of us, I think. You're trying to focus in on what's good, or you're trying to focus on what you're doing, or on a particular task and you get distracted. And there's nothing worse for me than trying to do 50 different things at one time, or think about 50 different things at one time. That is not good for my self-care when I'm distracted. So, you just have to get to a point where you can just rein that in a little bit. And sometimes I have to tell myself, okay, Joyce, pay attention, focus. I mean, I say it to myself out loud. I'm sure you've heard me say it.
Probably.
Come on, Joyce, get yourself together. I say it out loud to myself. But that is, Jared says, great point. And that is indeed a great point, Jasmine. But yes, indeed. But we have talked a lot longer than we usually talk when we're putting our episodes together. We usually do 30 minutes or less.
Yeah.
But it has been fun, and it has been a great addition to have you all interacting with us. We also want to remind you that even when we record it and put it online, please go and look at the podcast on our Divinely Guided YouTube channel. Go look at that podcast and leave your comments there, because we can still continue to have these conversations in those comments. But it has been great. What do you think about our first live video, Adrienne?
It's been fun.
Uh-huh.
It's been fun.
Been fun, yes. I have loved the added interaction. It adds something really special to the conversation. So I'm not sure when we will do it again, but we will do it again. Jasmine said it was a great discussion, though, and it absolutely was a great discussion. Jasmine, I just love you, girl. She just jumps right on in. It doesn't matter. She and Jared are kindred spirits. I just thought about that, because both of them will do the same thing. They'll just get right on in there. Whatever we're working on, they'll get right in there and work, and they just feel like they were always members of the family.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it was a great discussion, Jasmine. Julia says, that is also one of my problems. My job requires me to juggle so many different things at once.
It does.
It does,
Ooh,
yes.
Side note that's unrelated to anything we've talked about tonight.
Okay.
Never mind. You can continue.
No, go ahead.
Don't look on your face. It's like, really?
No, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Okay. So I told somebody that Aunt Julia was my aunt.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, oh, that's your aunt. It's somebody who I work with.
Uh-huh.
And she was like, I've been in her office a couple times. Like, she's really good at decorating. Like, the art on the wall was beautiful. And I looked at her and I was like, I did that art.
So you did the art yourself?
I did that.
Yeah.
Random side note. Speaking of her job.
Oh, okay. Totally random, but it's okay. It's okay. But juggling so many things at once, it had triggered a thought in my mind. That's why I looked at you like that, because I was thinking to myself, I'm going to forget what was on my mind. But I do remember it. Juggling so many things can really wear your brain out and just have you so scattered. And one of the reasons I retired, there are so many different things, but one of those was the trying to be and do everything, and that jumping from place to place in my mind was just more than I could deal with anymore. Jerry says, this has been an eye-opener. This conversation has helped me put things in perspective. This will help change the trajectory of how I view me and my self-care. And that, it just doesn't get any better than that, Jerry. I hope you will think about how you take care of Jerry. There's only one of you, and you are one of a kind, and we want you around for a long time. And so we just want you to think about how you care for yourself. Hey, Pooh. Ashley says, just joining. I bet this was good. It was good, Pooh. We were talking about self-care and the need for self-care, how we need to take time for ourselves. I know you are a busy working woman who has raised a young lady who's grown now. So what is something you like to do for self-care, Ashley? Are you good at self-care? I'll give you a moment to respond. I know we're on a delay. So Ashley is going to tell us what she's good at. I mean, what she does for self-care.
This is at least a 10-second delay.
Is it at least 10 seconds? It may be longer than that. Oh, because you're looking, the computer is much slower than the
It
phone.
might be more than 10 seconds.
It's been a while. Jerry says yes to Ashley. This conversation has been delightful. Okay, so maybe Ashley doesn't want to share what she does for self-care, or maybe she just popped in and back out. But anyway, we will not hold you all any longer, but we will say thank you so much for your contributions to the conversation and to the discussion. You made it so much richer with your input and with your sharing. Ashley has responded. She said, yes, this year I am trying to do 12 months, which consists... And then I lost it. Julia says, Pooh is great at self-care. She is always doing something for herself. And that's good. She should do something for herself because she has done such a beautiful job of taking care of Allie that it is time for her to definitely do something for herself. Yes? But anyway, I want to challenge you all today. I want each of you who are listening to promise yourself. Okay, Ashley says she tries to do something once a month. That's wonderful. That is wonderful. I want to challenge you. Everybody who's listening to my voice, whether you're on the live with us now or if you tune in and listen to it later, I want you to decide, and you can start with something small if that will make you feel better. But do something for yourself. Do something for yourself every day, even if it's just a few minutes of meditation, even if it's just a few minutes of sitting down and being very deliberate in your taking in very deep breaths, deep, slow breaths. Fill in your rib cage with the breath you're taking in, and then slowly exhale. And do that. How many times, Miss Yoga Instructor, should they do that? They should breathe it in. They should hold it at the top for how long?
Oh, I could do a whole lecture on breath work. Maybe we should talk about breath work one week.
Well, let's do that. We could talk about breath work next week then.
We could totally do that.
Yes, but we could, if they wanted to just spend a few minutes deliberately breathing.
One that I do when I get nervous is in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. And that's called square breathing.
Right. I remember you teaching us that one.
I love that one.
In a yoga, that breathe yoga.
The breathe yoga.
And I actually still do that one.
Yay.
That's how I calm me down. But we would inhale to the count of 4, and then we would hold it for 4 to the count of 4, and then we'd exhale to the count of 4.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that one.
Yes. So even if that's all you do for yourself, do that a few times every night, a few times in the morning before you get started. Or if you feel yourself stressing out or tensing up, take a few minutes and just sit and do it. Yeah. But find something that you will do for yourself. This is episode number 50. We have at least 37 of our episodes that were about self-care techniques.
Okay.
So go back and look at our Divinely Guided YouTube channel. Divinely Guided YouTube channel. You will see all 50 of our videos. Go and look at some of those that are practicing self-care. Ashley says, Adrielle, you and Allie sound alike. Jerry said, y'all have a great evening, and thank you for the conversation. Thank you, Jerry. Jasmine says, going to try that next time Ember finds some scissors.
Oh, Ember.
Please do. I hear she's been cutting hair. I don't think there's ever been a child who made it through childhood without either having their hair cut or cutting somebody's hair. So at least Ember knew to cut Ezra's hair, not her own.
I think she did cut her own one.
Did she cut her own?
I think so. Maybe I'm making that up.
Okay.
No, Ember.
But anyway, again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And by all means, take a few minutes to take care of yourself. Why, Adri?
Because you deserve it.
Because you absolutely do. Good night.
Good night. This is the part where one of us gets up and clicks it, but we're live. You gotta turn it off. We're still live.